My name is Christina Sanovich, and I'm going to talk about the Romani Gypsies. So they originated in northern India, and about 1,000 years ago, they moved to Europe, mostly Central Europe and Eastern Europe, where they were prosecuted and enslaved for a really long time. And then in the mid 19th century, they started migrating to America, where they congregated a lot in Southern California, Texas, Chicago, St. Louis, Seattle, and a lot in the northeastern states. And they're pretty quiet here in the United States because of their fear for what is happening to gypsies in Europe to happen to them here, because there's been a lot of prosecution, a lot of hate crimes, and children being taken away from them because of the stereotype that they steal children. People are wanting DNA tests when the parents have dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes, and their kids have blonde hair and blue eyes. But in a couple of cases, they've come back with positive DNA tests, so their kids are just getting taken for no reason and things like that. So they've kept their culture fairly quiet here in the United States because they're scared of what is going to happen. The media here in the United States depicts them as typical gypsies, like we would see in a movie, where they are fortune tellers, they steal children, they're musicians, things along those lines. And so we don't really see a lot of their true culture because of the way the media depicts them. They don't really prove otherwise. They just try to blend in or act like they're part of a different culture. So a lot of the Romas do decide to hide their identity in a sense because they're scared of what might happen. So they could go for years without their friends or co-workers or neighbors knowing that they're gypsies. And a lot of people have experienced discrimination from people that they considered friends and close to them because of the fact that they're gypsies. They've faced a lot of racial profiling for that, which is, again, with the stereotyping and the way the media paints them out to be a lot of romantic type of things, but also criminal. So they're depicted to be like a typical subculture that the media wants to pressure. So they don't show very much diversity in the media of what gypsies are truly, only what they think they are, which is romantic and criminal. Some families before moving here were multi-generational traveling families, which is what most people have a general idea of gypsies to be, and they were entertainers. But when they moved to America, a lot of that changed because they were trying to leave that lifestyle. In the book, there's a couple of examples of that, trying to change because they didn't fit in with that lifestyle. And a lot of people think many gypsies are fortune tellers. If they, when people find out that they're gypsies, a lot of gypsies get asked, "Can you tell my fortune?" Things along those lines, or they ask if they are fortune tellers for their profession. And some people don't recognize gypsies at all because now they have blonde hair and blue eyes. And typically you think of gypsies with dark skin, dark hair, dark eyes, in a typical way they dress, but that's not how it is here in the United States. And so that's one thing that's allowed them to blend in a little bit more. Marriage is important in the Romani Gypsy Society. Typically the bride's parents will help to decide who their daughter marries. They don't force anything, but they do help decide. None of this really surprised me. I know it sounds bad, but I used to watch Gypsy Sisters on TLC, which was way more extreme than obviously what really happens in gypsy culture. But some of the things like big marriage is big, and weddings are big, family's big, especially extended family. They're very close with their extended family, so that didn't surprise me. But I think that gypsies are a typical subculture from what we read in the Blackman article. They just discuss, subcultures as being criminal and not fitting in, not being worthy of society, and that's how I think a lot of people view gypsies, and so I think that's how the theorists that we read about in the Blackman article would agree that they're the perfect depiction of a subculture, and that's how I think it's going to stay for a really long time.